Hi guys, this is the advisor and welcome back to my channel. Now, have any of you guys ever played Monopoly? Well, very few of you would even know that game, but if you are over 40 or 50, then you might have played that game or at least know of the game called Monopoly. It's a board game where you play by moving markers around the board after throwing a dice. Or throwing. We call it dice at Jamaica. One is dice, more than one is dice. So I would just go with the Jamaican term dice. One dice, more than one dice. Right. See how it go. Anyway, you move around the board by throwing a dice. Now, depends on which marker you land on, which square you land on. There is one square there which is called a jail. And once you land on that square, you have to pay a penalty to get out of jail. You have to either lose turn, and if you don't lose turn, you have to pay some money or something, but there is penalties for getting out of jail once you land on that square. You will throw until you get a card, till you pick a card from a pile of cards for that belong to the Monopoly game, and that is called a get out of jail card, and it looks like this. And once you get this card, you can move off that square, and you can continue the game. The thing with the get out of jail card is that you can use it at any time, and it is all powerful. You can just get out of jail once you have it instantly. Now, what seems to have happened is that Delroy Chuck, the Minister of Justice, has given all the Krasmites throughout Jamaica a get out of jail card, a free get out of jail card. That get out of jail card is known as the plea bargaining law. In actual fact, it is known as the Plea Negotiations and Agreement Act. And the Krasmite has been using this to the full extent and have been escaping jail en masse. All of them have been escaping jail. They either escape jail 100% free, or they get an extremely light sentence, which is sometimes 10 to 25% less than what the original ceiling is for that offense. So, in other words, put it in simple terms, this government has gone about giving Krasmite the full latitude to commit crimes and get away with it. How does it work? Let me explain. Now, in this particular case, I can tell you, see Jamaica's plea bargaining system that we have here about you can bargain down your sentence by pleading guilty early and you get a lighter sentence. It is a scam. It is a scam from the start to finish. But don't get me wrong now. I'm not saying that plea bargaining cannot work, because plea bargaining works in other countries. But the Jamaican manifestation of plea bargaining does not work, or it does not work for justice, and it does not work for the victims. And I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to give you specific instances that you can relate to understand exactly what I'm saying. But first of all, let us understand the purpose or the rationale behind plea bargaining. It is to ensure a guarantee a speedy conviction of a guilty person, and by plea bargaining it is intended that you would get a lighter sentence instead of having the case to go through the courts and get dragged out and have the victim having to come and testify, which would in some cases would be traumatic, because they would have to face their assailant in the courts and so on. And to prevent all of that, and to not clog up the system and have you go and have the guilty person convicted and get whatever sentence, you just say, all right, here what? We're going to lessen your sentence if you just come forward and plea, because basically one of the things is justice delayed is justice denied. So we get quick justice and everybody is happy. Sing kumbaya and go home, right? No, wrong. But plea bargaining does not work in Jamaica for the main reason it only favors the criminal. Only the criminal benefits. He gets to plead guilty of a much lesser charge, and he does plead first time and either go home the same day or serve a little minor time in jail, and that's it. He's all right. Free as a bird. In an environment where 92% of our people killed were killed with a gun, it cannot be adequate to have plea bargaining where people simply walks free after confessing to a crime. Because most times they are either getting a fine, a suspended sentence, or probation. In the government's eyes, and Delroy Chuck is particular because he is the main poster boy for this system. He is in it from start to finish. And what his main purpose is not to give justice. His main purpose is to unclog the court system, and to some degrees he had some success. Well, a great number of success, because 73% out of every 100 cases that come before the court ends in a pre-bargain, which results, of course, in a conviction. And the person simply just walk go them yard. In most, if not all, of these cases. But some people might say, but isn't that a good thing? Justice denied is justice delayed is justice denied. So since justice is happening quick and fast, and I mean, everybody should be happy. So isn't that a good thing? Yes and no. On the pro side, we can understand. But on the con side, let's look at it another way. Now, let us use a ballpark figure. Say 10 years. It could be 10 minutes, 10 days, 10 months, 10 years, 10,000 years. But let's use a round, nice figure of 10. So, well, a particular crime, the maximum you can get on it is 10 years. But at the same time, once you come up and bargain first and plead guilty at the first date of trial, when it is called up for trial, and you plead guilty, you get an automatic 50% off. And of course, there may be other level of bargaining, mitigating circumstances the lawyer can put forward, which can cause that 50% off to drop even further. And it can drop further to the point where you just walk out of court, depending on if you were remanded and if you had got a good social report and a lot of other things. But let's look up at a real life case, how it actually works in real life. And this is just one of 1,000,001 examples, right? This is a case of where 3 women, Ballora Maitland, Sandra Gibbons, and Maxine Marshall, were robbed in Darliston, Westmoreland, right here in Jamaica. What happened? There were 3 higglers. They buy things from foreign and sell. They bring in the barrel loads of stuff and they sell it in Savlamar. But in this particular time now, all 3 women had barrels coming in from the US or had been shipped to Jamaica at the same time. One of these women lived in St. Elizabeth. The other 2 live in Westmoreland. The one in St. Elizabeth went to Darliston in Westmoreland and stayed at the house with the other two women for all three to head to Montego Bay the following day to pick up their goods and so on and so forth. What happened is that they were all going to be using the same pickup to bring in all the stuff. One of them, I think, had the ride. Anyway, during the course of the night, 3 men got into the house. I don't know how whether it was a home invasion or what, but somehow they got into the house with the 3 ladies, stick them up with guns, rob them of all the money that they had to go to use to pay the custom duties and other taxes to clear their goods the next day. Then not only that, when they got all the money they could find among the women, they ransacked the house and took the other monies that they could, whatever goods they could find. And when they were leaving, they carried the 3 women to the cash point in the 2 a.m., 3 a.m. bells and held gun at their heads and have them pull out more money with their cards and give them. 2 of the women actually got gun butted and had gashes over their eyes. 1 got punched in the mouth when they were not giving the correct pins. It was that brutal. Anyway, they got it and they left. One of the women knew the gunmen and eventually the gunmen were arrested. The robbers were arrested. The case went through the court for just a matter of weeks. And when the 2 women turned up at the mansion, only to be told that the men, and on the first day of trial, the men pleaded guilty, get their lawyer, pleaded guilty, and guess what? The next day, the 3 men who pleaded guilty were seen in the community walking free. Walking free. This woman still have a gash from her eyebrow, right through her eyebrow, come up to her forehead, with stitches disfiguring her, or I would say disfigure, but having that scar there for life, and have other scar. There was one with, I was told, with a split lip and all that. They never got back 1 cent from all the maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars that they lost, and they were not compensated in any way, shape or form, and the men just walk out of court and walk free. Now, you tell me, was that justice? Was that justice? You see, the government's main purpose, their main aim was simple. Simple. We have got to end the backlog of cases in the courts. And by ending the backlog, we are going to have to just dispense with cases. So make it easy for the gunmen to go home and send them away and just move on to the next gunman. You see, for Delroy Chuck, this is not about justice. This is about public relations. I want to be seen as being the one who unclogged the Jamaican court system. And as you know, Delroy Chuck have already boasted about this and come up and give statistics as to how many cases have been dispensed of in the courts. But he has thrown out the baby with the bathwater, because while the cases are speeding through the courts, justice has not been dispensed. But why should he care? Why am I going to care? Remember, Delroy Chuck live in gated community or high up in the hills where not even dog afraid for walk even a broad daylight. Plus, he and the other people who sit down, the other 63 MPs who cook this up, they have bodyguards, They live in gated community. They have their licensed firearms. And they don't even need those. Here is why they don't even need those. Nobody in Jamaica is going to kill a politician. No matter which side he comes from, we revere our politicians. It's only history of Jamaica. It's only one politician has ever died by the gun. And it was a mistake. And that was Roy Magan in 1980. We fear our politicians and revere them at the same time. And a politician can walk free in the middle of the night anytime, regardless, and go into the opposite area to his political affiliation. And once they know he's a member of parliament, he is going to be safe. 100% safe. Once you touch a MP, believe me, you rake up, and I never honestly you rake up. You have opened the gates of hell. Therefore, to go back to the point, you can make any rules that affect the general public negatively and disguise it as dispensing justice. Because at the end of the day, everybody who are dead are the little crabbe them will come vote for you. Those are the people who are dying. In a subsequent video, I'm going to explain to you exactly how and why plea bargaining works so effectively in other criminal jurisdictions. And I'm going to use the United States as an example. So stand by for that. Like, share, leave a comment below, and I look forward to see you in my next video.